All right, welcome everybody. Today I'm going to be talking about this page here that's in your Schoology. It is due on Wednesday. It is your graphing exponential functions, and it's something that you'll be working on in Schoology and then along with Desmos. There are hyperlinks inside the document. It is going to be really important that you use those hyperlinks. It's going to be the best way to help you get through this. All the stuff I'm doing for your assignments are just to help you learn and explore and experiment and kind of pick apart what you can. There's not going to be anything in here that's just, here, do this, and you have to know exactly what's going on. If you use the hyperlinks that are underneath each problem, you'll be able to get it, even if it's just a copy and paste, right? We're okay with this is exactly what the answer should be, and let's move on to the next problem. Okay, so I'm gonna talk about this. I'm gonna go ahead and show you this first one, which is y equals 4 times 2 to the x. Now, if you remember from the video I did last week, this 4, do you guys remember what that is? That's the starting point, right? That's the starting amount. So this is the y-intercept. So automatically we should be thinking, okay, well, here's our x and y table, our input output, and these are really equations. This is an equation, it's not an f of x. Since it's an equation, I guess technically we should say exponential equations, but functions and equations, we can talk about them at the same time. They're the same, one is f of x, one's y equals. So anyways, this y-intercept, we know that the y-intercept is happening at 4. Okay, so that this is, let's say this is 2, we're going to count by 2s. So we'll say this is 2, this is 4, and there's our y-intercept. Well, what is the x value? At y is 4, our x value is 0. So we know that at 0, we are at 4. Okay, so that's a good indicator of where we're going from this function here. Now, how do we get the next value? Well, okay, we know that looking at this, we know that this guy here, remember this is the growth or decay, right? The common factor. This is what we multiply by. So if we're multiplying by 2 each time, that means that we do times 2 to get to our next number. Well, 4 times 2 is 8. So at 1, we're going to have 8. So let's keep this at the ones. We'll count this as 1, 2, 3. And so if we're counting this by 2s, I'm going to sneak over here. We have at 1, we're going to be at 2, 4, 6, 8 up here. Okay, well that's good. What about if we're less than 0? What if we are behind the 0 on the x-axis? What if we come back here, right? What if we want to know where are we at -1? All right, well -1, let's see. Well, this is multiplying by 2 to come up. We could go further, right? We could keep multiplying by 2. Multiply 8 times 2 is 16. But how do we get back to this number? Well, something times 2 gave me 4. What times 2 gave me 4? We could think of it backwards. Well, what's 4 divided by 2? 4 divided by 2. Okay, well that's 2. So at -1, we're going to be at 2. And that 2 will be at 16. So 2, this is 8. This is 10, 12, 14, 16. So at 2, we're going to be way up here at 16. All right, what if we kind of want to know, well, what's happening? We can kind of figure it out, right? We're having it each time. We're going back. So how did we get to 2? Oh, well, half of 2 is 1. Half of 1 is a half. What's going to happen? If we keep cutting something smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, does it ever disappear? We never get to 0, right? It's like that no touching game, no touching, no touching, no touching, right? We're never going to get to 0. So when we draw our function here, let's see how good I can do this. Let's see. Try to do a really good job. Not bad, not bad. Okay, So we have a couple points we need to mention on our sheet here, right? We filled in our table. How are you going to draw this on your paper in your computer? You can draw on a piece of paper. Draw them all on one piece of paper. Take a picture of it and send it to me. That's going to be the best way to do it, okay? Here we have growth or decay. Well, look at our graph. Is it growing or decaying? It's rising up to the right. So this is a growth, okay? What's next? The y-intercept, okay? Y-intercept. Well, we talked about that, right? The y-intercept right here. Y-intercept, y-intercept, right? At 0, 4. So we know the y-intercept is 4. We knew it from right here, right? The y-intercept is 4. All right, good job. And then next, asymptote. That's a crazy word, right? That's that no touchy game. What number is never going to be touched? Okay, the asymptote, you can abbreviate like that, is going to be the x-axis. We are never going to touch the x-axis because it's just going to sit right above. We're going to keep cutting in half, and it's going to get smaller as you go negative, but it's never going to touch the x-axis, okay? Most of these asymptotes, if not all of them, I'm looking really quickly. There's only one that doesn't have an asymptote at x. Ooh, actually, you can play with it. Those links, that's what those links will show you. Those links, those hyperlinks are going to show you where the asymptote is. You click on it, it's going to take you to Desmos. It's going to graph it for you right there, and it'll show you exactly what the graph looks like. It's the line, the asymptote is going to be the line. Let me see if I can show this to you. Get a different color here. The asymptote is going to be where the graph approaches that line, but it never hits it, right? It's going to be that line that it kind of bottoms out at, all right? You'll be able to see that in that Desmos link. So use those hyperlinks, guys. Okay, so talk about your asymptote. And then next is your domain and range. And this is like the key concepts page, right? Okay, your domain. If domain is all the values of x, okay, so we're looking at domain, all values of x. Well, what value is this going to stop at? And what value is it going to stop at over here? It's going to keep going both ways for forever. Negative infinity to positive infinity. So our domain is going to be all real numbers. Okay? And that's pretty, you can write that in. It's going to be hard to do that symbol, right, on your computer. So go ahead and use the all real numbers. What about your range? What about range? I hope you guys can see that in the video. I think you can. All right, what about range? Range, remember, it's not going to hit 0 because the x-axis is the low. It's not ever going to hit it. So it can't hit 0 on our y-axis, on the y-axis, right? It's going to be everything above the x-axis, and the x-axis hits at y equals 0. So y can't equal 0. Y is going to be greater than 0. It's everything up above. It's all this up here, right? All this, but it cannot be 0. So it's not going to be or equal to, right? It's just going to be greater than 0 for the range, okay? So that is there. That's that first one we've done, okay? Now, this hyperlink that's on your copy, you may have to control and click on it. You may have to double click on it. You may have to get creative, but you can access that hyperlink, and I want you to, because that'll give you all this information. Even if you don't know how to do this, you can get the hyperlink and you can work your way through these questions, okay? The trickiest one is going to be the asymptote and the range, okay? Those are going to be the tricky ones, but even based off this, it shouldn't be too difficult. Give it a shot. None of this stuff is supposed to stress you out. It is supposed to help you encourage yourself to see what you can do. I think you guys are doing great. The more views I see on these videos, the more confident I am that you guys are doing exactly what you need to be doing. If you are talking to your friends and they haven't accessed these videos, please encourage them to do so. If nothing else, it'll help them be more calm. It'll help them have a better understanding of where we're going and what we're doing. Hope you guys have a great day. If you're watching this and it's Monday, it's gorgeous outside, so get outside and have some fun. Talk to you soon.